We are back here with another preview of fall camp. We are taking a look at the special teams. A lot of guys to talk about. There's so many different aspects of special teams. We're going to name the best player of the group, also a breakout player to watch for, and a top freshman. David, who is the best player on special teams in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Lou Hedley, right? I think there's a chance he is the um, Ray Guy Award winner this year. So set an NCAA record for net punt last year. Um, so yeah, I think he's kind of the easy pick.
He's my pick as well. And I know that's not really fun pick for guys, for fans, special teams, punting. But yeah, Lou Hedley, I know that the coaching staff really appreciates what he brings to the table. They talk about turning the field around quite a bit and being able to switch fields. And I know that that's
Yeah,
such an important aspect
matters.
of it. It absolutely does. And so it will be important that they have that reliability because as you've seen in the college game, if you don't have that punter that's reliable, if you don't have a kicker that's reliable, it really can impact your team, regardless of how good you are on offense or defense. So it's a good thing to have Lou. I think he's their best guy as well. It'll be very curious to see how the other aspects go. I want to talk about kicker, and that's where my top freshman, I think Andres
Yeah,
Borregales is going to be their best freshman on special teams. It sounds like he's going to win that job. I was a little surprised that Manny Diaz named the way he talked about him at ACC days, um, and talked about him just because Camden Price is back. And I understand, you expect Andres to go ahead and win the job, but I thought it seemed like he already appointed him as opposed to letting the battle play out.
yeah. I mean, I think it just comes down to Andreas. Like his brother Jose, just has a special leg, right? I mean, this is corny and weird to say, but when I was watching Andreas just go through warm-ups for the spring game, taking his various kicks, the ball just explodes off his foot, right? He's got that special ability. I think he has a chance to be one of the best freshman kickers in the country this year. And I think, last year Miami had one of the best specialist duos in the country. And I think there's no reason to think Miami can't have a top 10 specialist duo in the country this year, assuming Andreas, from a mentality standpoint, because that's so important at kicker, has it figured out.
I think the mentality thing is what also, the leg talent is obviously there, but I think they're all really, players, coaches are really impressed with Andreas. Manny, Coach Diaz mentioned that, his ability to bounce back after a practice, tough practice, then has
Yeah.
a scrimmage at Hard Rock, knocks a 53-yard field goal. So that moment stood out to Coach Diaz. And I think his bounce back ability is certainly very important for a kicker, a young kicker at that. So I think that's why they have a lot of confidence in him in addition to his talent. So I do think that also top freshman, I'm going with the kicker there, but I think that there's other guys that are freshmen who could impact on special teams, whether it's coverage and things like that. I also think Richard Smith is a guy as a returner, potentially a punt returner
Yeah.
or kick returner. That's a guy that can make an impact as well. Although I feel like all of these positions are going to be up in the air as far as who takes the returning spot. So I'm curious your thoughts on Burchard, maybe as a returner, and maybe some other guys that you'd like to see at the return spots.
I'm with you. I think there's a couple freshmen um, that I'm intrigued by in these return roles. To me, it's just a matter of, do the coaches trust freshmen in that job? I think Brashard definitely can be a kick returner for sure. I think he has the ability to be a punt returner. I think Malik Curtis showed in high school he can be a dynamic punt returner. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think those two freshmen definitely warrant a look. To me, it's going to be like Malik, in my opinion. The best thing for him would be a redshirt year, so he's going to have to work against that. But Brashard, I think he's got a chance to make an impact on offense and on special teams. I'm also intrigued by Jaylan Knighton. If he is not the starting running back, which he certainly is in the mix for, I think he's a guy you need to get touches. You need to get the ball in his hands. So why not get him the ball on special teams? I'm not as jazzed up about Xavier Restrepo. I'm not as enthusiastic about Tyreek Stevenson, even though Tyreek had success doing it in high school. I'd rather see some of those young, dynamic, quick accelerators get a chance.
So I went with Jaylan Knighton as my breakout special teams player. Although I understand what you, if you got a freshman kicking and doing well, that could be certainly a potential there. So if I'm going Jaylan Knighton there, you saw me talk about him at running back, but I do. I think if he's a guy that they put back there at kick return, I think he's got ability to make big plays. And I think that's what you want. I think they can increase their production at the kick return game. I like him better at kick returner than at punt returner. So we'll see how that shakes out. I think they could go Mike Harley at punt returner.
Sure.
I'm always big on guys getting roles in the return game that don't have big roles in the offensive
Agreed.
game plan. So, yeah, I like to keep Mike at receiver. I like to put someone else in there, like a younger guy, like a talented guy. I always like guys on offense. I think it's intriguing. It's always interesting when a defensive player gets back there. You mentioned Tyreek Stevenson. Gervin Hall's the guy that they've looked at punt return a little bit. I always find that interesting. I'm not as intrigued by that. I would go with a little bit more of the offensive guys. So we'll see. But I definitely think it's interesting. And I think fans are looking for that returner, coaches too, but
They
I
need
think
it.
they're
Yeah.
looking for dynamic returners. We have
Yeah.
not seen that for a few years, so they've got to figure it out. I know the coaching staff, the way they talked about it last year, Coach Patke talked about it quite a bit throughout the season. They know they've got to be better in the return game, get more production, get more yards, because that certainly helps out the offense. Getting closer to the end zone. So any way you can get guys on there, I think Jaylan Knighton's a guy. You touched on some Brashard Smith. And Malik there. So there's
You know,
certainly other guys
Brashard,
too.
like you covered Brashard in high school. Does he have the steadiness needed, as a freshman to do that job, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he gets it. I think he saw more even at kick return because at Palmetto they had Mike Jackson
Right.
that was really good at return. So it even as dynamic as Brashard is or was in high school, even he had a little bit more limited stuff because they had another guy that could do it. So and normally you don't see that teams with multiple guys that could do well at that. But yeah, I saw Brashard Smith a big time game against South Dade return a opening kickoff for a score. So he definitely has ability. I'm looking forward to see how all of his skills, not just at returner, but offensively as well, how it translated into college. Looking forward to seeing him. And I think special teams will be certainly intriguing, very interesting how this shakes out. We touched on linebackers as well as the defensive backs. Those guys are important on special teams coverage,
Yeah.
making plays. I touched on some young guys like a James Williams has a chance on special teams, go make plays, particularly in coverages on kick returns. So definitely intrigued to see how this group, how special teams work. If there's anybody that can specialize in blocking kicks or punts, that would be big time as well.
No doubt. Leonard Taylor, Jared Harrison Hunt, those big guys with basketball backgrounds, get them up the middle.
So definitely keys to watch forward the season. That'll wrap up our series going into fall practices, fall camp. Plenty of information be on InsideTheU.com. Thanks everybody for watching this entire series.